In this lesson, you will learn about FortiGuard. You will learn how to troubleshoot problems that occur when FortiGate is connecting to public FortiGuard services and when FortiManager is acting as a local FortiGuard server. After completing this lesson, you will have the practical skills and knowledge required to monitor the status of the FortiGuard updates, use FortiManager as a local FortiGuard server, and troubleshoot common FortiGuard issues. In this section, you will learn how FortiGate connects to public FortiGuard servers. The FortiGuard Distribution Network, FDN, provides FortiGuard services for your FortiManager system, as well as its managed FortiGate devices and FortiClient agents. It provides updates and rating services for antivirus, IPS, web filtering, anti-spam, application control, vulnerability scanning, IP reputation, web security, database security, and geographic IP addresses. To learn how to troubleshoot FortiGuard problems, you need to understand how FortiGuard communication works. The communication between FortiGate and FortiGuard for web filtering and anti-spam is different than the communication for antivirus and IPS. Let's look at how FortiGuard web filtering and anti-spam work first. FortiGate contacts the DNS server to resolve the name service.fortiguard.net. FortiGate gets a list of IP addresses for servers, usually 2 or 3, that can be contacted to validate the FortiGuard license. FortiGate contacts one of those servers to check the license and get a list of servers that can be used to submit web filtering and anti-spam rating queries. FortiGate gets the list of servers. FortiGate starts sending rating queries to one of the servers in the list. You will learn how FortiGate chooses the server later in this lesson. If the chosen server does not reply in 2 seconds, FortiGate contacts the next server in the list. Now let's look at how antivirus and IPS work. How FortiGuard communication works for antivirus and IPS depends on the method used, pull or push. The steps used for the pull method are: FortiGate contacts the DNS server to resolve the name update.fortiguard.net. FortiGate gets a list of server IP addresses, usually 2 or 3, that can be contacted. FortiGate periodically connects to one of the servers to check for pending updates. If there is an update, FortiGate downloads the update. The first 2 steps used for the push method are also used for the pull method. FortiGate gets a list of IP addresses from a DNS server for the domain name update.fortiguard.net. After that, FortiGate registers its public IP address in FortiGuard. With this information, FortiGuard starts sending notifications each time there are new updates. FortiGate then proceeds to download them. You can check the status of FortiGuard licenses and the communication to FortiGuard from the FortiGate GUI. You can also check the versions of the locally installed databases for each of the FortiGuard services. The command diagnose, debug, rating shows the list of servers for web filtering and anti-spam queries. For each IP address, the table shows the round-trip delay, the server's time zone, the number of recent and consecutive queries without reply, and the historical total number of queries without reply. This is how FortiGate selects the server to send the rating request to. FortiGate initially uses the delta between the server's time zone and the FortiGate's system time zone multiplied by 10. This is the server initial wait. The weight goes up with each packet lost. The weight goes down over time if there are no packets lost. However, it never goes below the initial value. FortiGate uses the server with the lowest weight as the one for the rating queries. The output of the command diagnose, debug, rating shows flags beside some of the servers. I is the server initially contacted to validate the license and get the server list. Usually there is only one server with this flag. D is the IP address FortiGate got when resolving the name service.fortiguard.net. If the administrator has not overwritten the FortiGuard fully qualified domain name or IP address in the FortiGuard configuration, there are usually 2 or 3 servers with this flag. S is the IP address FortiGate got from FortiManager. T is the server is not replying to FortiGate queries, and F is the server is down. In many cases, problems related to FortiGuard are caused by ISPs. Some ISPs block traffic in port 53 that is not DNS, or that contains large packets. In those cases, the solution is to switch FortiGuard traffic from port 53 to port 8888. Other ISPs, or upstream firewalls, block traffic to port 8888. In those cases, the solution is to use port 53. There are also a few cases where ISPs block traffic based on source ports. Changing the source port range for FortiGuard to the range shown in this slide usually fixes the problem. For antivirus and IPS, communication between FortiGate and FortiGuard happens much less frequently. In the case of web filtering and anti-spam, FortiGate goes to FortiGuard each time it needs to rate a website or email, if the information is not in the FortiGate cache. In the case of the pull method for antivirus and IPS, FortiGate goes to FortiGuard usually once a day to check and download any new version of the antivirus or IPS databases and engines. This is done using port TCP 443. This slide shows the commands you use if FortiGate must connect through a web proxy. Usually, clients connecting to a web proxy do not contact the DNS server to resolve names, as it is the web proxy that does it. But, in the case of FortiGuard, FortiGate always requires DNS access, even when connecting through a web proxy. The command diagnose test application DNS proxy 7 displays the fully qualified domain name and IP addresses of the FortiGuard servers available for antivirus and IPS updates. The command diagnose auto-update status provides a summary of the FortiGuard configuration in FortiGate. The command diagnose auto-update versions lists all the FortiGuard databases and engines installed. The information includes the version, contract expiration date, time it was updated, and what happened during the last update. If there are problems updating the antivirus or the IPS, or if there are problems validating the license, you can use the FortiGuard real-time debug. Diagnose, debug, application, update, -1. Diagnose, debug, enable. After enabling debug, you can force a manual update from the CLI using this command. Execute, update now. Remember that FortiGuard traffic originates always from the management VDOM. So the management VDOM, which is root by default, must have internet access. Proper DNS access from the management VDOM is also important. FortiGate must be able to resolve these names: update.fortiguard.net and service.fortiguard.net. Also, keep in mind that updates to FortiGuard contracts are not instantaneous. It usually takes 1 or 2 hours to update a contract in all the servers. However, in some cases, it could take up to 24 hours. So if you've just changed or renewed your FortiGuard contract and you do not see the change in FortiGate, most probably you just need to wait a bit more to give FortiGuard time to synchronize the information in all the servers. In this section, you will learn about FortiManager acting as a local FortiGuard distribution server, FDS. FortiManager can function as a local FDS. It continuously connects to public FDS servers to obtain managed device license information and check for firmware availability updates. All FortiManager devices can provide antivirus, IPS, vulnerability scanning, and signature updates to supported devices. FortiManager devices can also provide web filtering and anti-spam rating services. You need to configure the service access settings for each interface from System Settings and then Network on FortiManager. FortiManager supports requests from registered, in other words, managed devices, and unregistered, in other words, unmanaged devices. After you enable the FortiManager's built-in FDS, you can configure FortiGate devices to use FortiManager FortiGuard services. Let's take a look at what is required on FortiGate in order to use FortiManager for FortiGuard services. You need to configure the server list. This is where you define the server address, which is the IP of FortiManager. You can also define the following options in the server type setting: rating, web filtering, anti-spam, and so on, and update, antivirus, IPS, and so on. By default, the setting Include Default Servers is enabled. This allows FortiGate to communicate with the public FortiGuard servers if the FortiManager devices, which are configured in server list, are unavailable. If this is disabled, FortiGate units will never go to the public FDSs, even when the FortiManagers are down. This GUI section and related CLI command show the status of FortiGuard licenses for all FortiGates. The antivirus and IPS signature packages are managed in FortiGuard Package Management. Packages received from FortiGuard are listed under Receive Status. It displays the package received, version, size, version to be deployed, and update history for FortiGate, FortiMail, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiClient. Click Update History to open the Update History page for a package. It shows the update times, the events that occurred, the status of the updates, and the versions downloaded. You can change the version of the package that will be deployed by selecting Change in the To Be Deployed Version column. Click Package Management Service Status to see a list of all the managed FortiGate devices, their last update time, and their status. There are 5 possible statuses. 1. Up to date. The latest package has been received by the FortiGate device. 2. Never updated. The device has never requested or received the package. 3. Pending. The FortiGate device has an older version of the package due to an acceptable reason, such as a pending scheduled update. 4. Problem. The FortiGate device missed the scheduled query, or did not correctly receive the latest package. And 5. Unknown. The FortiGate device's status is not currently known. This command shows details about which updates were installed or will be installed on devices managed by FortiManager. FortiManager can log update services events. They are useful for troubleshooting. Set the logging level to Debug first. The next slide shows the command you must use to display the logs. Alternatively, you can export the logs to an SFTP or FTP server. The Update Services logs display the FortiGate requests made to FortiManager and the FortiManager requests made to the public FortiGuard servers. The web filtering and anti-spam databases are managed in FortiGuard Management, Query Server Management. The databases received from FortiGuard are listed under Receive Status. This page displays the date and time when updates were received from the server, the update version, the size of the update, and the update history. Select Update History to open the Update History page for a package. It shows the update times, the events that occurred, the status of the updates, the version number, and the size of the download. You can view statistics about rating requests made by FortiGate to FortiManager using the command diagnose fmupdate fgd-wfas rate. By default, this command displays the request rates for the last 60 minutes. However, the time period can be changed using the command shown in this slide. This information is also periodically logged in the event log. FortiManager can log rating services events in the same way that it logs update services events. For troubleshooting, it is recommended that you enable the debug level first. You can use the steps shown in this slide to reinitialize the web filtering and anti-spam databases and services. These are other debug commands available in FortiManager to troubleshoot FortiGuard-related problems. Diagnose fmupdate VM license lists FortiGate VM license information. Diagnose fmupdate get device lists the latest package information downloaded by the FortiGate FortiClient through FortiManager. Diagnose fmupdate service restart restarts the linkd service for FCT, FDS, FGD, and FGC. Diagnose fmupdate FDS get downstream device gets information of all downstream FortiGate antivirus IPS devices. Optionally, enter the device serial number. Diagnose fmupdate FDS get object lists downloaded antivirus, IPS, and vulnerability scanner packages. Diagnose fmupdate FDS update info displays the FDS update info. Diagnose fmupdate FGD dbver gets the version of the database. Diagnose fmupdate FGD get downstream device gets information on all downstream FortiGate web filter and anti-spam devices. And diagnose fmupdate FGD URL rating rates a URL. In this lesson, you learned about the following topics: FortiGuard services, verifying the FortiGuard connectivity status, monitoring the status of FortiGuard update versions, real-time debug commands, FortiManager troubleshooting commands, and how to troubleshoot common FortiGuard issues.